Alright, so today I'm just gonna talk about the kitchen garden, which has turned into the chaos garden. Completely impossible. We just didn't have the time to take care of it. But, I mean, down there, we still have some tomatoes and peppers and chilies. The first couple of lines, they kind of went well. There is some celery and eggplants and those big tall ones right there. I don't remember what they're called in English. Actually, I don't. I never had them before I came down here. Uh, I can't even remember what they're called in Greek, so it doesn't really. But anyways, they're kind of like a mixture between peppers and maybe tomatoes or something like that. They're really soft when they get boiled, and they're too big, the ones you can see now. They have to be taken when they're smaller. And anyways, and then down there, there's just a huge bunch of basil, which actually just came by itself. It must have been from last year. And it's just a huge disaster because I had 3 or 4 different types of basil, but as it turns out, they all mixed up into some sort of weird, strange mixture of of those 3 sorts. So now I have a mixed batch, and they shouldn't be there because first of all, they're in the sun, so they kind of go into seed way too quickly, and yeah, and they take up way too much space. But we didn't take care of the garden, which is obvious. So I don't think. Anyways, now they're there. They are there, and then on this part over here, here in this area over here, we had actually we had some melons, which turned out okay. They didn't. I think we should have fertilized them more. They didn't become as big as I wanted. But the small orange, the ones that's kind of orange inside, they were good. But the watermelons, they're too small, I think. I mean, they're bigger than the ones you could buy in the supermarket in Scandinavia by far, like twice the size, and tasted better. But the ones you can get down here on the markets down here, they're just like the best ones I've ever had. And then we have some plants we call luffer. I don't know what they're called actually. Lofts? I have no idea. They can't be eaten, but they become like a sponge that you can use for, when you're in the shower, or we use them for instead of plastic sponges in the kitchen. They get really hard and rough, and they're kind of like a net, like a spider web, 3-dimensional spider web that's really rough, and you can like scrub things with them. And they just completely went everywhere. As you can see, they go totally over the little wall that's broken down over there, and I mean they're everywhere. So yeah. What else do we have? Well, I have some chilies. We had actually a really good chili year, but I didn't get the jalapenos to work. I mixed up the seeds, so I accidentally planted some wrong chilies. I thought they were jalapenos, but it turned out to be like small Thai chili, which is also okay. And then we had like the Greek versions of the chili. I don't know what they're called, but they're really spicy, and they get super big. Like they're big and spicy, and they taste really good if you fry them or barbecue them and then put them in olive oil, like drench them in olive oil. Um, and then we have a couple of kale plants that just accidentally found their way. I think they're from last year also. They kind of self-planted themselves. But anyways, I think maybe it's a green kale, and there was a broccoli, which we ate way too early, but we just wanted to eat it. What else is there? Oh yeah, we had onions, but the basil just completely overtook the onions patch. So yeah, I mean everything went completely haywire. We still have some peanuts. There's no nuts on them yet, so I don't know if they'll, because they were also just volunteered from last year. The eggplants were okay. We didn't get as much of a yield as we had expected on them, but I think that's our own fault because we didn't take well enough care of them, and everything was too late. We were like a month too late with everything, except for the tomatoes, which has been okay. And, I mean, but we had, I guess, really, really. Oh man, everything is just crazy sometimes. So the kitchen garden kind of went a little bit crazy. Let me see. So what I learned down here is, like some of the real cool foods you can eat. For example, the beans. Last year we had so many beans. We ate like a special bean soup kind of thing called flasulaki many, many times, which was just so great, and it's so simple to make and so healthy. And we had so many beans we gave them away in bags, big plastic bags. And then they have another dish where they fill out pepper fruits, because pepper fruits grow really well down here. You can maybe see a big orange one on the right side, but they fill out the pepper fruits with a mixture of rice and spices and things like that, and lots of olive oil, which tastes super nice. And we also, those big ones that I can't remember what are called right there. We also eat them and everything. They taste really well. I just can't remember what they're called right now. Of course, the tomatoes. The Greeks eat them in just like a tomato salad, which they call the Greek salad. It's tomatoes, raw onion, olives, pepper fruits, and a big slice of feta cheese, and lots of olive oil. Sometimes cucumbers, but that's kind of like, some people think it's a disaster to put cucumbers in there. But anyways, that's what they call the Greek salad, which tastes really nice. It tastes basically as the tomatoes taste, with the cheese on there. And then the onions to just spice it up a little bit. And then, of course, the olives, they kind of like umami taste a little bit, which is really nice. What else do we get? So the big watermelons they eat also with feta, just watermelon and feta. It's just really good mixture. What else can I talk about? Well, anyways, the thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the olive oil. I didn't understand, how much olive oil is actually needed in different dishes. It's a lot. Like, sometimes now I overdo it, but I think there's not, like, they have a whole, part of their kitchen, what's it called, like the way they cook, that's called something with oil. It's just like oil food, and they basically boil stuff in oil. So there's a little bit of water, and then when the water is evaporated, then the dish is finished, and then there's just everything is just soaked in oil. And it just tastes awesome. And as long as it's like extra virgin olive oil, I don't think there's anything unhealthy about it. I think maybe it's even healthy. I think it is. That's why they say that the Mediterranean food style makes you live longer, right? But so much olive oil, like easily a cup, maybe sometimes 2 cups of olive oil in a dish. That's a lot. In Scandinavia, when people use olive oil, they use these little sprays to spray a little bit of olive oil on there. But I think also the olive oil is at least twice as expensive, if it's not like 3 times as expensive sometimes. Down here we can buy olive oil for this year. It was cheaper than last year. So last year I can't remember what it was, but this year it was around €5 for a liter. which is a little bit, maybe like $6 for a liter. And I think it's almost 3 times as expensive if you go to Northern Europe. So there's that. And I think that has nothing to do with the transport cost or anything like that. It's just totally price differentiation. I mean, it's just the business that sells the oil that look at the purchasing power, and they say, all right, these guys, they can pay twice as much or 3 times as much, and then they just raise the price for no particular reason. They probably have some cost transferring or whatever they call it inside the business, so that they can justify that price, but it's all on the in the financial statements, that kind of stuff happens. I know about that. I was educated in that stuff, so I think they call it cost transferring or transfer costing or something like that, so that they make it look like they have more costs than they do. And they bottle it in much more expensive bottles, which they then overprice, and they do some tax stuff and things like that, so they can kind of justify having 3 times as high prices in Northern Europe than down here. And down here, the purchasing power is so low that nobody would buy it if it was that price. And also down here, I mean, the oil comes from here, right? So people have their own oil, and they have their own. In the villages, they have kind of their own press, olive oil press. And I think that if the prices were a lot higher in the supermarket down here, people will just not sell it to the supermarket. They'll just use it themselves. That's kind of the mentality down here, which I really like. I like that thing about the Greeks, is that they're not always focused on profits. They're much more focused on quality and controlling their own kind of little communities. So yeah, that's not it. People are not so profit oriented down here as they are in Northern Europe. So if there was too high prices in the supermarket, people would just go to the markets, and there will come an alternative market for things like olive oil. I'm pretty sure. All right, so I think that's all I have to say today.